Today on Dave Eats the World, we're going to be making Chinese roast pork belly. If you've ever passed by a Chinese restaurant with some meats hanging by the window, then you've probably seen this dish before. And if you've ever had one, chances are it's one of the best pieces of crispy pork you've ever tasted. In my opinion, this might just be the easiest, least messy, and most flavorful way to make crispy pork belly. Let's get started. In a bowl, mix in 1.5 teaspoons of salt, a teaspoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice powder, 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper. Mix it all together and set it aside. Line your roasting tray with some aluminum foil. Put in your pork belly skin side down. We'll be slathering the meat with some Shaoxing wine. This will help the seasoning stick to the meat. Next, cover the meat with the seasoning that we made earlier, spreading it around with our hands as evenly as possible. Be careful not to spread the mixture on the skin, otherwise it will burn during the roasting process. Leave the pork in the fridge uncovered overnight. The next day, you might notice that my pork has flattened out a bit. In my case, the pork was still a bit frozen in the center when I started to marinate it, so I spread it out a bit after taking it out from the fridge. We're going to punch out some holes on the skin of the pork so it can crisp up nicely. I'm using this tool specifically made for this, but any sharp skewer or knife will do the trick. After punching some holes, pour a bit of vinegar on the skin. Next, we'll be folding the aluminum to create a makeshift container, only exposing the skin. This will prevent the meat from drying out. Cover the entire skin of the meat with some coarse sea salt, making sure to pat it down so that the top is evenly covered. Place your roasting tray on the middle rack of a 375-degree oven, cooking it for around 1.5 hours or so. After the initial cook, we'll be removing the salt from the top layer, exposing the skin. Heat up your oven to 450 degrees and cook the pork belly for another 10 to 15 minutes. This step will transform the pork skin's texture from leathery to shatteringly crispy. Afterwards, we'll let the pork rest for around 15 minutes. Do not skip this step unless you want really dry meat. Finally, it's time to chop up the meat. This is the sound we want to hear. You can see how juicy the meat is. And now, the moment of truth. My mouth is already watering. Damn, that's good. The pork skin is light and crispy, the meat is perfectly seasoned and juicy. And by the way, we didn't even use a single drop of oil, which makes it kind of healthy, I guess. If you ever think about hosting a dinner party for some friends or family, just make this dish and they'll be sure to ask for seconds. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. This pork is just so good that I had to sneak in another bite. I'll see you on the next one.